Hello, folks, and welcome to the Techthusiasm Live podcast. It is Monday, February 2nd. We're already into the second month of the year. There's some fun stuff going on this past week that'll pretty much be the focus of the show today. I spent the entirety of my Sunday basically doing a home theater install. And so had a lot of fun. Did it for one of the more vocal, I think, community members, one of the guys that's usually on the lives and hanging out and chiming in. He's been a repeat customer actually for a couple different things. I got him hooked up with a Kaleidoscape system last year, and then now we were doing a screen swap out, basically an aspect ratio swap out and a fixed material to an acoustically transparent material with the center channel behind the screen. So talk a little bit about that, kind of muse on the merits and the elements of that project and stuff. And yeah, just talk about Hangout and have some fun and some other things. So I hope everybody's staying warm. It's cold here still, still in Michigan. Snow is still falling. I got my home theater blankie covering up here down in the Techthusiasm home theater, but haven't been out skiing again. Hopefully some of this crazy cold snap breaks and the snow sticks around and get out and get some skiing done, perhaps in February, because things are going to get busy in March in a variety of ways, particularly March into April. But there's a little bit of an opportunity to hit the slopes and do some fun winter sports here in February. Had some other fun tech stuff going on. I spent the entirety of my Saturday. My son was in a drone competition. That was pretty cool. It ended up being a little more about piloting skills than it was like a STEM or like engineering type thing. But there was a whole section of the competition that was based on autonomous flying. So they had a course that the drone had to navigate, and they did a manual pilot section, and then they did an autonomous pilot section where they used coding and programming basically to try to have the drone fly the same course. And then there was this big teamwork section and then an interview section. So first time doing a drone competition. Interesting to kind of see how it was ran and what it was all about. Quite a lot of teams, quite a lot of kids, big age range. It was like middle school up to basically through the end of high school. So we had beginners competing against folks that could have been doing this thing for a good several years, and that was pretty clear in some of the skills and aptitude and stuff of some of the higher end teams and the teams that won and scored a lot of points in place. But it's always a learning experience. When you do something for the first time. My son had a good time with it and is continuing to do this. I'll take his ongoing interest in game programming and engineering and science and all that stuff. And it was pretty cool as well. We went to our alma mater, Kettering University, up in Flint, Michigan. My wife and I, a lot of our friends, we all graduated from there. I was actually the first computer engineer to graduate from Kettering University here in Michigan when the curriculum started. I was in the first class and was the first one done. But had a lot of good memories at the school. Of course, I've been very happy and pleased, as a lot of my friends have been, with our career trajectories and paths and options coming out of that school. And we hadn't been back there. My wife nor I hadn't been back there since we pretty much graduated way back in like 98, 99. So it was fun kind of revisiting, seeing a lot of change, new buildings and stuff going on. So that was, we were up at 5 a.m. Man, I don't know why they do kids stuff at so early on the weekends. There shouldn't be any kids activities before like 10 a.m. on the weekends as a working parent with a lot of things to do. For the love of goodness, please let us sleep in a little bit. But no, we were up at 5, on the road by 6, arrived by 7, and then checked in, and away they went for all of their activities. And I think we made it home by like 8 o'clock. So that was our Saturday. Plus, he was there for an extra prep class at his group where they gather up on Friday. So, but that was fun still. Fun and techy, nerdy, and we had a good time with it. They scored a decent amount of points. They didn't bring up the bottom of the rankings. They were kind of in the middle-ish lower pack, which was kind of to be expected for first time doing that. But again, fun to watch. I've been kind of coming up to speed on some more things as well. Learning more on per listen. There was some dealer training webinar stuff last week that was pretty cool. Finding some, I guess, well, I wouldn't say deeper respect, but more understanding of the brand and just how much like hands-on engineering and stuff is behind it. So working on that and a variety of other business things behind the scenes. We've been doing a lot with the web page. So my son yesterday, he worked for a couple hours. I put some time in here in the last week as well. But stay tuned. I'm not sure when we'll launch it. Maybe it could be possible. It could be possible by the next podcast. Some of the things that we're working on will be live on the web page. We're basically building. I'm a little hesitant to call it a store. Let's just say it's kind of a catalog, a bit of a gear catalog. So there'll be information um, about stuff that kind of we're offering, the brands that we're offering, the models that we're offering, be able to put in some insights and observations and details, things that I like about certain things, stuff like that. Basically, a reference center where possible. It could be possible to be able to buy and check out and stuff like that as well. But very clearly, like a lot of brands are not into the e-commerce side of having their equipment represented, especially niche brands and some of the more expensive stuff that's more complex and really kind of rightfully demands kind of an interaction between like a customer and an integrator and so on. So we'll follow all the rules and that as kind of required by the different companies and different brands and whatnot. But I'm really looking forward to kind of launching this. We've got like a three-pronged element to the changes kind of coming. One will be the gear catalog, and then I need to get my daughter started on transitioning basically our merchandise offerings over to the webpage as well. So if you wanted to pick up like Techthusiasm t-shirt, hat, coffee mug, etc., we're going to directly integrate that right at techthusiasm.com, nice and clean. And then coming soon will still be the things that we've been working on for the memorabilia, movie collectibles, figures, statues, and other assorted goodies and stuff like that. Um, so that's all coming as well, and some new types of content, maybe talking about some of the memorabilia collecting aspects and stuff like that around our favorite movies and TV shows and whatnot. So a lot of things happening and very exciting stuff going on. I'm just very excited to kind of push push go on a lot. I've been still continuing to send out the newsletters, so I just want to put that out there. You can sign up for the newsletter on techthusiasm.com. I think I've issued 3 of them now, but the newsletter is a really great way to get some information out in a timely manner, um, particularly if there's information about news and promos, and I'll be sharing some things probably through the newsletter for like projects that we're working on. I'm talking to multiple people about theater projects, full room projects, full speaker array projects, and all kinds of stuff. So it's been fun. Shipping some kaleidoscapes out to folks. Got some screen orders processing right now, and getting hands on some new models and stuff that I haven't used firsthand, collecting information about more detailed information and learning again about some of the products and things that are out there like per list, and learning a lot about Stewart screens as well in the last few days. So sound off though. Let me know who's out there. Say hello. If you've done anything interesting in your home theater or in your techie stuff in the last week, please drop it in the comments. I'm curious to see what's going on. In the meantime, last week's major topic, of course, was the unfortunate theft thing that we went through. I just want to reiterate for that as well. Like it's a frustration. It thankfully, it's not a nobody in the household. We were not we were not threatened. We were not like home invaded or anything like that. So I appreciate all the well wishes and stuff, but thankfully, it was all things considered. So it's a benign. It's not benign. That's the wrong way. It's just a frustration. But we're continuing to kind of chase. Um, yeah, we're continuing to chase the thing down. I still need to be a little careful how much I talk about because not because fundamentally it's like an ongoing engagement, investigation, and so on. And so I don't want to say anything that would kind of compromise what's going on. I kind of I made some leading statements last week as well to kind of insinuate that we have a good indication, expectation, etc., about who did it, how they did it, why they did it, and so it was basically somebody with confidence or somebody that we had trust and confidence in and betrayed our trust fundamentally. So um, in many ways, I'm happier that that's the case than like, somebody invading our home with God, for who knows how anything like that, right? Any which way that could have gone. Um, so yeah, it's mostly a betrayal of trust. We know what happened, and we're trying to pursue the avenues of justice and whatnot to get things kind of yeah, basically to to get justice fundamentally. So I was trying to get a hold of the investigating officer again today. We talked a little bit on Friday, but I he called and I'm like, oh, I got this meeting starting. I really can't answer the phone right now. And then it went to voicemail. I'm like, I'll just catch up with him after. And then he called again. I'm like, wow, he must have something really important to say if he's calling back again, really trying to get a hold of me. So I had people waiting on me to get a meeting started. And I'm talking to him and it's like, oh, okay. All right. All right. All right. Like I got like 100 questions for you. I can't ask them right now. Like, all right, let's kind of reconvene. So, whoa, camera's going wild. Um, so I was hoping to catch back up with him today. Didn't happen, unfortunately. I called him, left a voicemail. I have not received a call back, at least as of yet. So hopefully tomorrow we'll get in touch. One of the main things that I want to know, and at this point in time, I suspect that we're probably never getting our stuff back. I'm almost kind of resigning myself to the fact that the stuff is gone. But it rolls into an idea that we have insurance and stuff like that. So I hope in the end, we'll lose the things. Uh, we'll lose the things, but I feel reasonably comfortable that we will be made whole uh, by virtue of having proper insurance and coverage. And again, if you don't have if you don't have those things on your stuff, I highly suggest that you get them. Particularly, again, in the case of the comic books and whatnot, I carry separate and direct collectible insurance on that stuff, which should make it hopefully very, very simple to get reimbursed for those things. I still need to go in. I made a listing of what I paid for all of the books, but I still am remiss. I need to go back and make a listing of um, what are the actual current replacement values. If I were to go on eBay or to a popular auction site or something right now, what would I actually have to spend to get those 9 books in roughly the same conditions and whatnot that we had them in? I have a feeling it's actually a little higher than the purchase price. So, and they did ask us actually to provide, and this is going to be so hard. They asked us to provide monetary value for all the jewelry that was taken. It's like, oh man, I don't even know. I'm hoping like AI, um, I'm hoping that a lot of use of AI kind of describing maybe some jewelry pieces and asking for values can give us back some information that we could use as a baseline for putting that together. But as it is, my expectation is that the jewelry stuff will go on a homeowners and the comic books homeowners policy for insurance reimbursement. I don't know what kind of deductible. I got to verify what kind of deductibles and stuff we have. The collectibles, the comics will all get reimbursed by virtue of the collectible insurance. But like I've been holding off on making those claims because I'm a little hesitant if there's a chance that we might actually get any of our stuff back. I don't want to go through an insurance process where I've got to prove all this stuff again and try to provide all these values and whatever. If there's a realistic chance that um, there's a realistic chance that we could get our stuff back, I don't want to get an insurance check for it because then what happens? Like if I make these claims and the insurance company sends me the money and we do get our stuff back, I guess it's pretty simple. I would just give the insurance company back the money. Like we're not going to be allowed to keep the insurance money and the stuff if we get the stuff back, I presume. Like if you total your car, right, the insurance company writes you a check for whatever the car is worth. They take the car. You don't keep the you don't keep the car and the money. The property becomes the property. Uh, the property becomes the property of the insurance company. So, and if I have to go through the process to do all of that, I just don't want to make. I don't want anything to be more complex than it needs to be, basically. And then if I get the insurance money, now I'm going to want to start buying the books. And I know I've already been looking actually and coming up, I think, on heritage auctions, like the Avengers one. There's a nice looking Avengers one that I would be inclined to bid on that I think will go up and end in mid-February. It's like I don't want to buy that and then possibly get our other one back. So it's just kind of like a painful frustration, um, painful frustration right now. So and that we're trying to basically navigate. So I really need next steps. I need to talk to the officer, get a little bit more information. They have made contact with our suspect. I guess I will say that. And we're kind of waiting for the next steps and such to come out of that. The fingerprinting is still in process as well. Um, and I want to kind of get his recommendation on should I go ahead with these claims and stuff like that. So we'll see what happens. It's a learning process for sure. So that we hope we never have to go through again. I hope as everybody else gets spared kind of the frustration of it. Obviously, no matter what, with the jewelry, we lose the sentimental value of all of that stuff, probably, which is unfortunate. At least I'm happy, all things considered, that she didn't take everything that was heirloom. So there was still a couple of items from my grandmother that we still have. We have a lot less than we did before, but there's still something there. So definitely want to try to protect those better, whatever that exactly means. And then the comics is just really a waiting game as my son and I try to wait out finding the books that we want again in the same conditions, some of which we waited many months for, of like watching the auctions and going to comic shows and stuff like that to find them. So yeah, it is what it is. But again, long story short, I appreciate the well wishes and all of that, but right from the beginning, we have it. We knew. I mean, we knew. We knew who it was and what's going on. We're trying to pursue that avenue. So there was never any kind of doubt, I think, in our minds of what exactly happened. And thankfully, there was no like necessarily like danger, violent element or something like that to it. Or again, I prefer it to be this way versus like, yeah, somebody broke into our house. We don't know who it was. We don't know if they're coming back. Like that would be that would be very mentally different than kind of this, which was really more just like frustration and a period of anger and whatnot. And now it's just a matter of like I'm big on like criminal justice being served. So I'll just leave it at that. We'll look through some comments here, and then we'll talk a little bit about the project and stuff from yesterday. Talk some core home theater stuff. So Julius, welcome. Always the first one. I was congratulate your son. Oh, turned off comments. I'm not sure which comment you're referring to. Maybe the community posting. I didn't turn them. I didn't turn them off, but I did put a community post up Saturday, and I linked a video to the drone competition just in case anybody wanted to see it. It kind of gave the courses and the paths and stuff that they were flying. I thought it was pretty cool. So, Flash Gordon, hope you're well. Yeah, came to check in, see if there's any robbery update. So that's it. It's a waiting game. Talk to the officer, and then we get probably this week. I presume this week we'll actually start the process of these insurance claims and navigating that. But cross your fingers. There's a real like think just everybody cross your fingers and hope justice is served. That's what I want out of this whole thing. Kobe, on a previous video, you mentioned Kaleidoscape will have a quarterly promotion. Okay, yeah, we can talk about this today, actually. So, actually, let's go through the comments. We'll talk a little bit about some of some news, and then we'll talk about the install experience from yesterday. Julius, can you explain the height feature? Oh, I don't always see it on the video. So, yeah, YouTube put this thing in. I don't know how long it's been around. I think it's been a little while now. If you look kind of just, I see it on mobile. I don't know that I see it a lot on the desktop. But if you look like just below a video, and actually, when I was watching a YouTube video, but just prior to the show, let me see if I can find it here. Thanks, clip. Now, yeah, see, I don't see it. It might just be in the mobile. But if you play a video on mobile in the app, right underneath the video where you get like some channel information, some viewer information, there's like a banner bar, and then in that banner bar is now the ability to hype videos. It's basically another way to say that, hey, I really like this, and I think other people might like it too. And so everybody, I think, has like a limited number of hype points or whatnot, and then you can allocate those points to a video. I think Twitch works a lot like this as well, but it's now they've kind of like co-opted it. So anyway, you throw your hype points at a video, and then every week, I think it is, maybe you get more hype points, and it's just another way to push the algorithm to like be interested in the video. If a lot of people are hyping a video, then it gives it a little bit more steam, essentially, to make it through the make it through the YouTube algorithm and maybe find some more eyes and ears and whatnot. See, KenIssel, you had a Final Fantasy 15. Oh, so I didn't have games. I had not graded games. I had comic books. So there was 7 books taken. There was an Avengers 1 and a 4-5. They were all CGC. Avengers 1 and a 4-5. That was the most expensive one that was taken. A giant size X-Men #1 from 1975 in an 8-5 or 8-0, 8-0, I think it was actually. I don't have my list here, going off of memory. That's the first appearance of like the new X-Men team. So Storm, Nightcrawler, Colossus, Wolverine joins the team, stuff like that. There was an Avengers 57. That's the first appearance of Vision. I had that in 8-5 white pages. Really nice book. An X-Men 4 um, in a 5-0 white pages. That's the first appearance of Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver. Trying to count, and I'm not using my fingers very well to do it. There's an Amazing Spider-Man 50. Oh, amazing! Yeah, no, I don't have an Amazing Fantasy 15. It's on our list. Someday we will. Someday we will have an AF 15. If I had an AF 15 and a 9.0, I would have a lot more money in my pocket. But I do. That is a book that we plan to own. That's the first appearance of Spider-Man. If folks didn't know, we had an ASM 50, which technically is the first appearance of the Kingpin, but that book is like regarded for a number of other things. It's like John Romita was the second artist that drew Spider-Man after Steve Ditko. It's probably the most one of the most revered covers of Spider-Man, and the story inside is a really important one as well. Plus the first appearance of the Kingpin. Um, and then what else? Fantastic Four #4, which was the first appearance of Namor. Um, had that in a 5.0 white pages. That was a hard book to find in that grade, especially white page quality. So I think I'm missing one, but that was a lot of the gist, I think, of most of them. Yeah, we did have a couple of other books that were technically worth a bit more that she didn't grab, but she grabbed the ones that she could try to cover up that they were gone. Fundamentally, is what really happened. Sammy's saying, "I kept my car when it was totaled." Interesting. I think we've lost 2 cars or 1 car to being totaled. I drove a car into a puddle. It died and drowned. Um, but when we got paid out for that, the insurance company kept the car. I thought normally that was usually the norm, that you would title the car over. I guess it depends on well, I guess maybe it depends on damage costs. They deduct like 10K. So maybe you got the payout, but you bought like the damaged car back or something. When I've lost cars in the past, we've signed the title. When we've taken the money, the insurance money, we've signed the title of the remnant of the car, the remainder of the car over to the insurance company. Surgeon Ed, welcome. Lots of new names. Cool always seeing the friends and the regular folks and the new folks as well. Any thoughts on Control 4? Looking for something to simplify the control of home theater, Trinoff, Mad VR, Kscape, Apple TV. Nice. You got a nice system there, Mr. Ed. Surgeon Ed. Yeah, so Control 4, I mostly like it. I've been using it for a long time. When we built our house, it was really built to be integrated with Control 4. So, like it or not, I'm heavily reliant on it. It'd be very hard to change it out at this point. I'd have to really like completely restructure the lighting of my entire home and a couple of other things to get away from it. I'm glad that Control 4 over the years has grown. They've had good updates. They've added to the platform. They've tried to make it better. They've added improved UIs. They've empowered devices. They've grown the footprint. They've done good partnerships with like Apple and others to integrate certain things. That's why we have a Halo remote that you can use lady commands on. That said, it is a dealer integrated system. So if you're a hardcore DIYer and you can't find a good integrator, kind of too bad. You can't do everything yourself. Sometimes that can be a frustration. Sometimes that's a welcome element of the system for some folks. So it just depends how that goes. Some of the things in the ecosystem can be a little bit pricey as well, depending on kind of what you're looking to do with it. Some of the items that they put out could have been better in the reliability area. But I think they've always been pretty quick with like updates and attention and stuff on things. So that all said, you don't have that many options, right? You kind of have Apple HomeKit kind of stuff for home control. You have just like more like individual remote solutions, like the Ava or the Sofa Baton and stuff like that. And then you have like Control 4, and then above or more expensive and either and deeper integrated, right? You have like Savant and Crestron and stuff like that. So Control 4 is really singular in the position that it holds for everything that it does. Um, Thankfully, because like going to, I wouldn't want to go like all the way to Crestron like for a home system for a normal sized like neighborhood house. I don't have a 9,000 square foot mansion or anything like that. Um, There's one more question here. It's actually sent through a different channel, but I'll read it. Regarding collectible insurance, is that something you did as a rider through your regular homeowner's insurance broker, or did you find it? So the collectible insurance was a separate thing. I actually got it because it was recommended to me, um, because I ship books around, essentially. Like I may buy an expensive book, may buy it raw, or may even buy it graded. But then if that book can go through, um, like nowadays, like people clean and press books. There's like restoration stuff like that. I don't have any interest in comic restoration, but there are services like, if you buy an older book that was graded longer ago, it may not have been pressed or wiped or cleaned, in a non-restorative way that would make it present better, and grade a little higher and stuff like that. So, um, in order to do stuff like that, you need to usually send it. I send it to a company, comicpresser.com. He's done a couple of my books for me. Um, so I need to mail an expensive book to him, and then he's going to hold it and do some stuff with it for a while, and then it's going to get mailed to CGC, and then it's going to come back to me. So one of the big reasons I got the collectible insurance was to make sure that my stuff was covered if I was mailing it, or if we ever ended up actually wanting to go a little bit further and like actually say buy a book, not for the purposes of collecting, but buy a book. We found a deal on it. We can get it graded. It might be worth a little bit more. Maybe we sell it, right? So do some buying, selling, trading, stuff like that. I wanted all my stuff to be covered. And as I was getting back into the hobby, it's like, okay, the best way to do this is through a third party that knows these items and can insure them and manage them properly. So Collectible Insurance Group, CIS, is what we use, and so we'll find out probably coming up, whether how good they are, right? When we make our claim, how easy is the claim process? Do they recognize good value for the books? Do they pay us out? Do they keep our policy enforced? Do they raise our rates? What is there any negatives or pains or frustrations that come out of actually having to go through the claim process with them? We'll find out, but that was one that looked good, and had good reviews, and I think was respected by some other collectors and stuff that I was aware of. So, all right, so let's talk about the some of the promos and stuff going on. So there is things happening with the start of February, that is worth noting. So some of the JVC promotions have shuffled basically. Um, Up until a couple days ago, the NZ 500 and the 900 were on sale, marked down with promotions. Now they're off, and the 700 and the 800 are back on promotions. So there is a $1,000 MSRP discount on the 700, brings it from 10 grand basically to 9 grand, and a $2,000 promotional discount on the list price of the NZ 800, bringing it from 19,000 down to 17,000. So these are good. Actually, it's interesting. The 700 is good through the end of February. So the 700 is on promotion in February. The 800 is on promotion currently in February and March. But I will say that some of the JVC promotions have shuffled a little bit. They've kind of like were extended, or they started and then they changed a little bit. They were extended. I have a feeling that, we'll see though if that ends up being the case for a while, or if these actually expire and then there's no promotions for a little while. But now that these projectors are into their couple years of their lifespan, basically this is the second model year, right? Because last September or last end of last year was the 1 year anniversary of the NZ models, and we got the big new firmware update for the 800 and the 900, and then yeah, this is the second model year, so we're still not even at the half life, assuming I don't know. This is just looking at history. JVC often seems to run 3-year cycles. If they were to run a 3-year cycle, we're not even at the halfway mark. But I would expect that it's a good time for some promos and stuff on these projectors. So if anybody's looking for those, 700 ND700, NZ800, both awesome units in their own right. That is available now. On the Kaleidoscape front, since somebody asked what was the deals on that. So as of February 1st, a couple things have changed. On the player side, the Strato C has price reduced by $1,000. So it's down from $4,000 $3,995 to $2,995. So now the E and the C are the same price, which is interesting because if you have a server or you're buying a server right away, um, before this price change, like the E was going to be the flagship player, like the player that everybody buys more or less. Now that the C and the E are kind of the same price, it does present as an option for those that have servers or are buying servers right away. It doesn't cost any more. It has native 4K UI output, um, and the aluminum form factor and all that sort of stuff. Um, so that's changed, but the bigger changes are in the servers. So essentially, and you're going to see this a lot, I think, coming up in the coming months. Like if you're looking at SSD drives, um, storage, I think RAM is another one that like some of these specific part markets, certain electronic components and stuff like that are getting really affected by the like data center, the AI data center wave, as these componentries just basically get bought up for those purposes. Running AI models and engines and data centers and all of this stuff. So SSDs are tough. RAM is tough now. Um, so the Terra, and this is kind of unfortunate, but the mini Terra Prime that was launched not that long ago, and I want to make sure I get all my prices right. Give me one second. I'm going to log into something here as I'm talking. Oop, didn't mean to do that. Give me one second. There we go. I'll pull this window up over here. Come back to here. All right. So mini Terra Prime movie server. So this is the SSD model in the mini chassis, 8 terabytes with the SSD drive. It has unfortunately gone up by $2,000 list price. So it goes from $5,995 to $7,995. The other change, and this had already actually transpired, I hadn't realized that the 24 terabyte compact hard disk drive server that was formerly available at $10,495 is now no longer available. The single and only compact Terra server that is available is now an 18 terabyte model, also at 7,995. So you have price parity. You either go 8 terabyte SSD or you go 18 terabyte, sorry, HDD, both at 7,995. The other models stay in the line. The big full size 2U replaceable drive, 48 terabytes, remains as is. The 96 terabyte remains as is. Those both remain as prime servers as well, which have some upgraded internals and faster networking and stuff like that. The communication that we got on those models did say while supplies last. So again, they're being affected. I think like many a company nowadays. I haven't looked at like what would it cost to build a gaming PC and all the different components and stuff lately, but I suspect that has probably gotten more expensive. GPUs I think are more reasonably affordable, or had been for a little while. I don't know if the AI wave is eating those up as well, but I know or I understand anyway that RAM and SSDs in particular are kind of tough. Maybe in some respects, maybe storage overall. So when those supplies are exhausted, we'll see what happens next. I think they're doing their best to basically keep options on the table for people to be able to purchase. And so we may see additional pivoting as we go forward, and kind of the market and part availability and stuff sorts itself out. There also is a combo. There is one promo combo available. You can get a Strato C and a Tera 18 terabyte, that compact unit that I mentioned, for basically these are list prices, of course, as well. Do feel free to reach out to me to discuss in more detail. But you can get the combo at 990, which is $1,000 less than the sum total of their MSRPs. Um, and then there also is a combo available for the Mini Terra Prime plus the Strato E, but that is not discounted. So if you're thinking about it, if you're anybody's looking at any of this stuff, you want to talk about it, make sense of like what makes sense of what makes sense, any of that, definitely can reach out. Happy to chat. Go to the webpage, techthusiasm.com, email Jeremy at techthusiasm.net, and we'll get in touch. So I got some servers that were able to be purchased pre-price increase that are kind of coming and going. Um, but yeah, it's a tough computer market. I feel like it's a bummer too because I feel like a lot of things had stabilized for a while after a lot of price increases across a lot of things last year. Um, Even like GPUs seemed to be readily available and stuff. But it took a while to get for me to get my 5090 for the gaming PC. But now, it's always something. The only thing constant is change. Just when you think things are stable in a lot of things or in the world, something is going to come along and throw a monkey wrench or a complication right into the whole thing. So all right, so let's talk about this job. So yesterday, again, one of the I don't think he's popped up here. He said he may be available, he may not for the live stream, but Michigan customer. He lives a couple hours away, so it's a little bit of a haul to get over there, but no big deal. Got up reasonably early and made my way over. Um, but one of our regular Techthusiasm community members, and then also Bo Terminator Juice YouTube channel. He has a podcast and stuff that he does, talks about gaming topics and stuff like that, as well as his home theater. So there he is, boom, just in time, just in time. Welcome. We're all kind of mutual friends, so he came over as well graciously. I very much appreciated the extra hands and the extra support contributing. So, long story short, Joe had a DIY home theater, and I've helped him work on a number of elements of this room. He's got a full cal bass system, towers. He had in-room speakers, box in-room speakers. He had a scope screen. Formerly, he had a bit of his equipment. He had some Macintosh equipment. He uses like a home theater bypass setup. Very much a music fan. Uses the room multi-purpose for movies and music. So Macintosh gear for the home theater bypass, and just kind of like Yamaha and whatnot for the home theater side of things. And then last year, in conjunction with like another partner or kind of referral partner of mine, we got Joe's stuff all racked up real nice and clean. We kind of started to eliminate equipment in the room, kind of freeing up the front stage and all of that, getting all of his equipment gear racked up. I was going to do that myself, but I worked kind of passed that over to a partner of mine, Dan DiCarlo from Audiovision, actually, who's been on the channel a number of times over the years. I just felt Dan was better equipped to be able to do the racking and move the stuff. He needed a crew. Dan had a crew to be able to do all of that and some of the more complex wiring and stuff that was going into it. Then Joe added a Kaleidoscape. He transitioned out of the DIY media ripping scene and fully embraced Kaleidoscape. And so then we've been talking about like kind of what else does he want to do in his room? What else does he want to kind of upgrade? He came over when I did the fall get together showcase event. Terminator was here as well. And what he decided he ultimately wanted to do, he'd been wanting to shop a new center channel speaker. So he has full cal Electra. I think he has the same speakers I had. I think they're the 38 models, the big ones, 1038 BE towers, which are actually the same exact tower speakers that I started with in this room in its first incarnation when I had the in-room speakers. Awesome speakers. They're the precursor line, the not the ancestor, what's the word? The predecessor to the Sopra, the Focal Sopra line. But he didn't have the matching center, and he really wanted to get the center matching. So he had been debating, okay, at some point in time, he needs to buy the Sopra center to go with these other speakers, and he had it below his screen on a stand and whatnot. And then he was starting to contemplate, with the equipment removed, and all with the I'm sorry, let me go back, with the former equipment in the room and on the shelves and stuff that was taking up the space, the floor space. He was kind of forced to go with the scope screen because the screen had to be higher and the screen had to be it was height limited. We're talking about a basement setup. There's not super high ceilings in his basement and whatnot. So in order for all the clearances and all the things, he decided to go scope. He was height limited, and rightfully so. He got the maximum width that he could, and then he was limited on the height. So okay, that's the perfect place, the perfect rationale, I think, to go with a scope setup. But now that the shelving unit and stuff was gone, and the center channel, as we're going to talk in a minute, would be gone as well. He could take advantage of the extra height. So he was interested in keeping the width, which is what we did. This is the same exact thing that I was contemplating doing in here, that I've been talking about doing in here, which is to go from scope to a taller aspect ratio, but keep the same width. So nothing is lost from a super ultra widescreen movie presentation perspective, but anything less than that, right? 185, anything 2.0, anything 16:9 is going to be way more impactful by taking advantage of the extra height. And so we started talking about this screen swap, and then it occurred to me, like, well, you know what? If you're going to do this, if you're going to change the screen and you want a center channel, why don't you put the center channel behind the screen? It's going to be the absolutely best presentation for home theater. We can do it all in one shot. Switch to an acoustically transparent screen. He had a really nice screen as well. Stewart screen, flat white, non-acoustically transparent, but it's a smaller screen. I want to say it was the 110 or 116, I think is what we ended up actually going with. And we went with the Seymour, we went with the Metro frame because we wanted to maximize screen real estate. So we cut some of the frame down rather than like the precision frame. Went with the Metro frame to be able to get another inch or two, or another inch or so, yeah, or 2 inches actually, of screen width and some extra height as well by doing the frame. And it's like, let's just you have plenty of light. Light is not a problem in this room, essentially. So you'd be able to confidently make the transition to acoustically transparent, and so what we did actually was the speakers that are behind me here, these Focal IWL-CR6s. So we put one of those as the center channel directly behind the screen. Perfect match to go with the Electra towers, all beryllium materials, similar the W cone materials and stuff that they call it. Between I think the 1000 series is a little newer of a generation compared to the towers, but everything matches. It's the right kind of timbre match and presentation match of audio between what was there. So now the center channel is gone. Now the audio is coming directly out of the screen. Just a massive upgrade in presentation, and especially in his room, going to the 16:9 presentation was just a really, really, really nice, really, really, really nice change. I think I can. Let me see if I can share this. Couple of pictures of his setup here. I'm going to do a share screen with a window. Yeah, it's harder to. Okay, let me do it like this. Open with preview. Come on. Okay, now, okay, I can share this. There we go. So this is his racks, basically the double rack, like I talked about. We got the Macintosh equipment down here on the right-hand side. He's got a massive vinyl collection. So turntable and all that. The left side is more of the theater side. Currently just kind of running everything on a Yamaha. You can see the Kaleidoscape logo glowing here. He has a 48 terabyte server. There's some networking, some Wattbox stuff and power management going on here. And we are planning some other home theater upgrades in the space, but coming up. Right, so if I cancel this, And let me pull up a picture of the room. Yeah, this one. I don't know if my share sticks. Now I got to reshare the preview screen. Window, this one, go. All right. So here you can kind of see it's a very dark room. This room can go totally black, like to the point like this one where you can't see your hand in front of you. There's some windows in the back, but they're shaded. There's those focal towers, and he's even got some like he's done a lot of like flocking around the room. But down here in between these speakers, again, used to be this major shelving unit where all the Macintosh and all the source equipment was. But so it wasn't possible to go lower, but now we can go lower with the screen height. There's a couple of smaller SVS subwoofers in here. It's got some other upgrades planned again, which is going to be fun. I think as we work towards essentially like a final quote unquote incarnation of this room. But we were able to get the old screen down and out. They actually did some of that. Terminator and Joe himself did some of that before I made it there on Sunday. It took me a while to get there on Sunday. And driving a Tesla in 0-degree weather, you don't get very far before you're stopping to charge. So I had some extra charging stops and stuff that I hadn't planned for on my way over there, but still got there around lunchtime on Sunday. And I think we ended up leaving around like 6:30 or so. So this is a basement. Again, on the other side of these framed walls are the concrete slab walls, the exterior walls. So we were able to essentially make the cuts that IWLCR6 is right here, pretty much dead center, right behind this screen, nice and centered horizontally and vertically. Made the cuts thanks to Terminator brought some extra tools and stuff that we had to kind of cut in. Get it in there, got it set. The wiring, the existing wiring and stuff was enough with some extra slack to reach. So the speaker went in nice and clean. And then we proceeded to kind of put the screen together. I don't know if anybody's done a Metro frame Seymour relative to the precision frame. I've done a few precision frames now. And the way these screens usually go together, of course, they ship in 4 pieces nominally, the 4 edges, and then there's some L brackets. You slide them into these channels. You tighten down some Allen wrench screws to kind of lock and hold everything together so it doesn't pull apart. Gives it all of its structural like rigidity. And then with the precision, you lay the frame face down. You roll the material out, projection side down, and then you have these O-rings, like basically little rubber bands, and there's these tight screw posts essentially all around the frame of the screen. You loop the little O-ring through circles, O's, basically, right in the edges of the screen. And then you kind of rubber band it over those screw tabs. And I don't even remember how many there are, several dozen, I think, around, or a few dozen at least, around the whole edges of the screen. The Metro was interestingly quite different. It still had 4 pieces. The Metro being again the thinner bezel. I think it's like a 2 inch or 2.5 inch bezel instead of like 3.5 inch bezel. So it really changes the structure of how the screen goes together. It actually, like, there's the hard metal frame pieces themselves, and they still have the same L brackets in the corners. You kind of cinch everything together. You screw the Allen wrenches down and whatnot. But then the screen material goes on the front, interestingly. So you lay the frame down facing up. Those screw posts that you set the O-rings on, they're facing up, not back. So you lay it down face up. You lay the material out face up. Again, you do all the O-rings essentially the same way. And then there's like covers essentially on all of the covers on all the 4 edges of the screen, which are like the felt overlay pieces. So you put those on, and then they have screws drilled through. So you screw those felt cappings essentially into the edges of the frame, brings it basically all together, and then you have your frame. So it looks really nice. Everything goes together really nice. And again, the main benefit, of course, being the thinner frame. So thanks for this clarification. Only a 1.5 inch frame. So that's enough. That's enough to manage your overspill, your overshoot. Um, I think in most cases where you're even like reasonably aligned projector to screen. But again, it gives you the ability in real tight uh, environments to be able to maximize the a few extra inches of screen relative to the precision frame. Of course, one of the big limiting factors here is he has the towers. The light path has to go through the towers, so it can only go so wide, and these speakers really aren't going to want to go out any further to the left, essentially, or the right of the room. So it blended really well. Audio was looking good. At the end of the day, he didn't actually lose any brightness. Um, because there was a slight reduction relative to the old screen. It was just a couple inches less wide, but after setting the rest or the new elements of zoom, shift, and focus and whatnot, we took a quick measurement. He does have a Mad VR here as well, an NV Core. So when we did a light measurement on a full white field, it came out just a tick, a couple ticks higher, a couple nits higher than than before because of the way the screen was, or the way the projector was zoomed down just a little bit more. And it looked really nice with the Mad VR doing the tone mapping, a lot of light coming off the screen, very punchy, strong image. The woven screens, I think they present really well. They look really great. They do a great job for what they are. In this case, of course, the French cleat brackets are right on the wall, so there's no protrusion or extra space fundamentally between the speaker and the screen. There's just maybe barely a couple inches of clearance around back, just by virtue of the regular how the screen just normally hangs. We did do the magnetic poles at the bottom, which I basically always recommend. So there's on the bottom member of the frame on the outsides, the there's a magnet that we kind of screwed into the wall with a little bit of a protrusion, so it matches the protrusion of the French cleat up above. The frame hangs nice and straight and flush and level to the wall, so it worked out really well. So we hung out for a little while. We did some demos, watched some material and all that, and had a good time. Had a good time with it, playing around in here. So after we left, I think he set about to do the rest of his recalibration. Obviously, had to rerun YPOW. While we were there, we took care of most of the video tweaks, minor tweaks to the Mad VR. But he was also after we left, he did some more of the fine tuning for like wider aspect ratios and how does he want the Mad VR to handle them. Stuff like kind of zooming 185 up to fill with a little bit of cropping on the sides and whatnot. Yeah, this is thanks Terminator as well. Which fabric do we go with? This is the Center Stage XD, so Seymour AV screen, not the Screen Excellence screen. He did also pick up, I should ask him for a picture of this. He did also pick up the masking panels to be able to mask basically to I forget specifically if they were the 240 or 235 panels, but basically scope panels. Interestingly, they come in 4 pieces, and they just magnet nice and cleanly right on. There's an upper left piece, an upper right piece, lower left piece, lower right piece. So we did try those out, and it looks great. With those on, it looks clean. It looks, obviously super black, dark. It really just looks like a scope screen. So again, he had a bunch of aspect ratio kind of management stuff to do after we left. But again, yeah, fun time was had by all. I appreciate the opportunity to serve, folks' needs, and I've had a fun time engaging and really just kind of becoming friends with Joe through the channel and being a customer and all that. So it's been fun, and spent a lot of time kind of like helping him plan stuff out and really kind of teaching him to be more self proficient with a lot of the stuff, that a lot of the equipment and the gear and things like that as well. Yeah, so a couple comments here. Terminator. Yeah, definitely started with convincing Joe to get all his gear out from under screen. Yep. Yep, such one there. Yeah, seeing the 16:9 screen in my home theater was the push. Yeah, that's right. He went to your place. After coming here, he went to your place, and that helped to further kind of cement his path of wanting to go this way. Ooh, Bob BX Payne. Hello, do you think full cut ARIA home theater system can compete with the 1723 home theater system? So I don't know. I might be a little. Well, I don't want to say I'm biased, but I like Focal. I have used the Aria speakers in the past. I like the sound. I actually have another home theater project that's underway. It's a 5.1 or actually a 5.2.2 um, home theater set up in a basement where we'll be using the Thiva. So I'm excited for that. Once we get the equipment is actually already at the customer's house, sitting in the boxes. He's got an 85 QM8K. He's got an Anthem, MRX 740, a couple of other things, and then some SVS subs, and then the Thiva speakers. I'm really, really curious to put those kind of through their paces there. But I would say, generally speaking, I would need to compare the specs on some of these and the price point. I'm not as familiar with the Arndal stuff anymore. I haven't really looked at their stuff in a very long time. I had the 1723 subwoofers and thought that they were quite nice, but then moved on from those to the bigger SVSs. But empirically, yes, I think Focal makes stuff that can stand up to Arndal. Model to model, I would need to look at some of the specs. If you are interested, though, feel free to reach out, email me. We can talk a little bit more about this offline and follow up. If you're in the US, I am able to offer and sell Focal product. Julius, how did the Macintosh system sound? I'd love to have one cost as much more than my pockets can stand. I don't, all the times that a couple of times, well, I've been over there twice. Once to put the Kaleidoscape stuff in with them, and then this time, I don't know that we've ever. I don't think I've ever listened to his stuff in the bypass mode. Last night he did run. I think it was Led Zeppelin. He played a little bit of a concert on Kaleidoscape, but I think that was still home theater mode. I think that was still all the Yamaha. He didn't switch it over to the 2-channel mode. So, it's actually a very good question. I need a dedicated 2-channel demo, the next time I find my way, over there. Epson definitely impressive with the Mad VR. Yeah, it looked good, definitely. The Mad VR dresses up the Epson. He has an LS 12,000, for now, probably a JVC, probably a JVC in Joe's future. Um, Yep, this other question, yeah, sorry, which Seymour fabric did we go with? Center stage, XD. Terminator special ordered my masking panels to be one piece top and one piece bottom, with a little extra cost. Yeah, that's one nice thing about Seymour is they can customize, and you just work it out. And Stewart does as well, of course, but these screen companies, everything's made to order, right? So you can get whatever you want, and tweak to your heart's desire. I have a 2.4 Stewart screen, but ordered the Seymour retro mask. Hasn't arrived yet. Interesting. Terminator. I'm pretty sure Macintosh amps are always powering. Yes, that is correct. But it's not using the Macintosh whatever preamp processor in the home theater mode. The Yamaha's processing everything, always on the Macintosh amps, um, but not all Macintosh on the processing. So yeah, it was fun. It was a good time. This has left me thinking now as I sit back down here again. Um, this was a crazy good upgrade. This was a crazy good, perfect choice to migrate away from a scope aspect ratio screen to something else. In addition, for like for what he does in here, right? Again, it's a 2-channel room. So he's watching concerts and stuff like that. He's playing music and whatnot. He games in here. There's a PS5. So there's a pretty good amount of 16:9 content that he consumes. And now anything 16:9, anything 185 is way more impactful than it was before, when those aspect ratios were relegated to the smaller segment of the um, much less tall scope screen. And again, he lost something on the order of a couple inches of width on the scope screen, just by virtue of like being fundamentally height limited. We're pretty much at the top of the ceiling here, but again, the ceilings are not super tall, and the bottom is kind of just hitting right along the top of the plugs on that front wall that he needs for the subwoofers and stuff. So there's no way to go taller and the aspect ratios just hit really well. I don't think there's any really like plus or minus a couple inches, you're never going to really notice. So losing a couple inches of width to gain all this height in the presentation for those other aspect ratios, I think is a trade-off, incredibly well worth it. And then, of course, putting the center channel behind the screen, man, is just the way. It's just the way to home theater. It's just having your audio come out of the face, out of the mouths of the people that are talking, right, out of the screen itself, particularly in the center channel. All of them, if you can do it and you have a big enough screen to do it. In this case, for this size screen, it actually works quite nicely to have the left and the right outside of the screen space and only have the center channel behind the screen. The trade-off was well worth it. So now I sit looking at my setup and wondering even further, like, am I ready? Am I ready to add some height to this screen? And I think I am increasingly so. Now that the living room project is done, I do have one other really considerable theater upgrade actually that's still pending this year. We'll talk about that coming up. But in the meantime, I'm really inclined, I think now, to want to do this, do my own screen swap and get to a taller aspect ratio. I'm still pretty partial for myself, I think, to maybe go 17:9 because 16:9 pushes me almost to my ceiling, and I have very tall ceilings, so I have like close to 11-foot ceilings in here with 7-inch trim. So that does push me down because I'm not going any higher than the crown molding, the ceiling trim. But I don't think that I want the height of my screen all the way up to the trim. Like I'd like to add some height, but I don't want to go the entirety of what I have available to me. I think that would just be too tall. I'd be sitting here and maybe looking up and such a little bit too much. But yeah, I need to fully kind of commit to doing this. And I've been talking, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, I've been talking with some of the folks, technical folks at Stewart, because if I do this, I really need to do it with I need to do it with a Stewart screen. I don't think there's a Seymour screen option. Need to do my full due diligence, of course, but I don't think there's a Seymour screen option that I can do it with because I don't want to lose brightness from where I'm at right now. So for me, with the let me get rid of this here. With the lens there, DCR lens on the projector and everything, I'm sitting at like 105 nits. And if I go with a larger, go with the 17:9 aspect ratio, um, the projector will still be exactly zoomed to to the point that it is right now. So I'm not zooming in or out anymore. Um, but I'd be taking the lens off. So the lens concentrates all of the light of the entire panel onto a smaller surface area, a less tall surface area, and thus making it brighter. That if I take the lens off and I just let the projector just throw its native aspect ratio, it will be distributing those pixels and that light over a larger area, which means my brightness, my effective brightness, accomplished brightness goes down, but I can offset that by doing a perforated uh, Studio Tech 130 G4 screen, which is nominally a 1.3 gain. It goes down to about 1.2 ish after the perforations. Um, and I've done the math. Actually, I was doing some math the other day on this, kind of just as I was talking with, and after I was talking with the folks at Stewart, and I was just doing this based on their numbers, not basically nits calculation, but where'd it go? Yeah, Foot Lambert calculation. So Stewart's recommendation is that you need about, or historically speaking, actually, commercial theaters were calibrated to about 16 Foot Lamberts. To do HDR justice, they were recommending 40, um, trying to accomplish 40 Foot Lamberts. And so if you take a reasonably effective lumen rating for the NZ900 and you take the surface area of the screen and whatnot, I'm actually at 39. The numbers come out to be like 39. Oh, wait, no, I'm sorry, 36. Yeah, let me make sure I got the right ones here. Yeah. So I'm sitting in the upper 30s, right around 37 foot Lamberts on my screen. And if I were to do the 17:9 screen, again, same projector, um, I'd be at about 39. So I need that screen to have gain beyond the screen that I have right now with to make basically offset the loss of taking the lens off. So, and after talking with them, it seems like we would be able to accomplish that. Pavel saying, yeah, 17.9 cents, almost ideal for your wall size. Yeah, it's 100%. That's exactly it too. MadVR makes it easy. So, and I like 17.9. The reason I really, really like 17.9 is it's the native aspect ratio of the JVC. I really don't expect to be changing away from the JVC at all. I would, if there's an NZ 901 that comes out in a few years, I would just pretty much be expecting to buy that. Um, Down the road, if I were to go anywhere else, it would be like up to like Barco or something like that. And that's not out of the question, maybe in, I don't know, 5 or 8 years or something. But for the foreseeable future, with the room in its current incarnation and structure and direction and all that, um, so I like the idea of taking advantage of those extra pixels, right? Use all 4,096 pixels, take advantage of all of that light. If I did a 16:9 screen, not only would it be bigger, it'd be bigger surface area, but I'd be using the 3840 pixel width, not the 4096. So you go 17:9, it completely matches the native aspect ratio of the projector. Line it up. There's no, the screen boundary stuff is all one to one. The lens comes off, and use those extra pixels. And then when I have a scope image that's 3840 wide, MadVR can scale that baby up. You can do it in the JVC anyway with the zoom setting, but I would just do it in the MadVR. You just tell MadVR to natively output 4096, and you turn the zoom feature of the projector off, and then MadVR will um, scale anything that's less than 16:9 up using the extra width. It would also grow in height. So the same image would cover a pretty significant additional amount of pixels, which means that I'm going to get a brighter image for, uh, get a little more brightness out of the scope content. And then, of course, I can manipulate any other aspect ratio as I see fit. If I want to have it do some horizontal NLS to fill the screen on a 16:9 image, or even like zoom NLS up vertically a little bit on the wider aspect ratios. Maybe not all the way, but a little bit, like halfway or something, where it might not be noticeable. Um, but it would give me some options and stuff as well. So I need to continue the debate and see whether this is the direction that I want to go. Mounting wise, I have no problem with it. I would just fundamentally, um, all I need to do is get another piece of lumber, more or less. I would keep the bottom of the screen exactly where it is right now, the same height, because it just barely clears my SB17s, and I would not expect to put any subwoofer in here that would be taller than that. Um, Nor do I expect to get anything that would be shorter than that. So the bottom of the screen would be the same place, and my curtains are already kind of split. I've got full wall hanging curtains to the left and the right edges of the screen, and then along the top is a shorter curtain, and then below the screen is another shorter curtain. So um, I could just fold the top curtain basically behind itself, get a new piece of lumber, and mount a new piece of lumber a little higher, or just move the one that I'm already using up the wall a little bit. The one thing that it would change that would be, I guess, not the most ideal, is that the utopias behind the screen, there's no way I won't be moving them up because the holes are cut into the drywall, and they're pretty well centered vertically within the screen space I have right now. This move would add, I think, like 18 inches of screen height, but I wouldn't be moving the utopias up. So the utopias would be sitting a little low relative to center of screen. I'm not sure if that really matters. I don't think you'll be able to really notice that. I don't the sound is already emanating from behind the screen. Um, but I hope that's not I hope that doesn't end up being a potential like annoyance or something that's noticeable. I doubt it is. I think all of the audio will still feel very clearly anchored to the screen and feel like it's coming from the right places and when whatnot, even though like the center of speaker and where the tweeter is won't exactly be center of screen anymore. But we'll see. We'll see. I gotta fully figure this out because I do already have somebody interested and waiting um to buy the screen that's in here right now. So if I am going to do this, it's nice to be able to move this on to a new home, um, and then transition right into the new one. So I got to get the pricing, get the understand some structure, make sure that I feel fully committed. And with the perforated screen, I will be pretty close. My speakers are in the wall. They will be relatively close to the screen material, maybe like three-ish, 4-ish inches behind the wall to the screen material. In fact, it might even be worthwhile to double up or do something to um, enhance the thickness of the lumbar that the screen is hanging on, and maybe even try to bring the screen out another couple of inches or something like that, and try to get maybe to like 6 inches or so of clearance. Um, if I can get there 5 6 inches of clearance instead of 3 or 4 from the face of the speaker to the screen material. Stewart has told me that they don't fear they don't fear it will be a bad experience having speakers within a few inches behind the screen material for their perforated options. And again, we would go with the Studio Tech G4 perforated. I do have my request in for the some material samples as well, so it'll be interesting to see how that goes and continue kind of working towards this goal. Terminator. Also look at the top chain material from the Seymour Screen Innovations side. Yeah, I need to fully look through their product line as well, just to make sure if there's anything that they have that would fit the bill. Stewart does have a new woven material. They call it the Harmony G3. Um, so they're actually offering a woven material, but they actually advertise it as a zero point 0.7 gain. So that's not gonna work. The Center Stage XD is effectively higher gain than that. And again, I really don't want to sacrifice on the brightness. Terminator said I could help with mounting that screen. Yeah, if you go that route, definitely. Hey, I'm definitely gonna need some help. That's not a one person job. um, for the most part, although I pretty much did it by myself when I put this screen up, except for the mounting. Needed to have my wife obviously come down, but yeah, having more folks helping out is always an awesome thing. So yeah, Terminator. It'd be relatively easy to make some wood brackets then to get the screen further off the wall. Yep. Yeah, so we could do that. I wouldn't want to bring it out too much, um, but I think it would probably be a worthwhile exercise to maybe get it to like try to get 6 inches of clearance um, behind the screen, and I think it would still look pretty good. My screen is already in a pocket. The door is a few feet off the wall on that side, and I have the corner base trap, so it really just bring the screen out um, a little bit more forward. It would come just slightly over the top of the back of the subwoofers, or I could even pull the subwoofers forward a little bit as well, or move them a little bit more towards the corners or something. Um, you know what I really like? It's very expensive, but here, let me show this off really quick. I was thinking about this the other day. I was looking at Per Listens subs, and they have a subwoofer that would look beautiful in here. I think they call it the D8. Let me just share this really quick, and then we'll call it a day here. Where's the models? Oh yeah, Give me 1 second. Pull this up. I just want to verify the size on this boy. Oh, that's the amplifier. Yeah, subwoofer dimensions. Yeah, it's 10 inches deep, 20 inches wide, 44 inches tall. Here, let me share this. I would love to these would look really cool in here because this is like it's like more of a vertically standing array. Oh, wait, no, wait, hold on. I don't think this would work as well. I thought that this was flat. This would be tough. Okay, this would be tougher than I thought it was gonna be. I thought that the or they just give me a minute, give me a minute. No, okay, it is right. So, I think this thing just looks beautiful. It's basically like a monolith subwoofer essentially, but it's the equivalent of a 24-inch driver, as I understand it. They were talking about this in the actually some of the training material that I saw. It's 4 8-inch drivers. Um, yeah, D8 houses, 8-inch woofers, glass fiber cones, push-pull force canceling configuration. So they go side by side, but the way it's meant to be, structured, it comes on these feet and these stands and whatnot. 44 inches tall, 20 inches wide, 9 inches deep, 9.4 inches deep. But man, like standing on an angle in the corners of the room, like this thing, it would look really, really cool. Um, and then I would be able to, I wouldn't have to worry about the height of the subwoofers and stuff if this thing were outside. But this is actually it's pretty expensive unit, but really neat. They're launching a lot of new stuff actually. Where did it go? D8IS. Trying to find the price. Yeah, I think these are like 20. They're like 20 grand. But still, there's so many cool things out there. Bacob one. Have you decided between ultra perf and micro perf? Stewart's website recommends 12-inch for the perforated screens. Yeah. Um, so basically what I was told is that this hobby always had trade-offs, and they have a lot of installs. They have a recommendation, but they have a lot of installs where those gaps are not able to be so deep, and they feel it works. They feel it works okay. So from what I was told, there's really not much of a difference between ultra perf and micro perf. Um, yeah, you have it right here. Really, the reason that they offer both micro and ultra has more to do with manufacturing than it does to do with anything that really affects the installation or the consumer. So ultra perf was developed to basically be faster to manufacture, simpler to manufacture, and it doesn't have the THX certification. Um, so the way I understand it, what I was told, there's really not a fundamental difference in the like quantity of air, the size of the holes, the effective amount of open area, stuff like that. The specs are almost entirely the same, but they have like a rolling mechanism, I guess, for the ultra perf. It's only available on a couple of specific materials. The the 130 G4 being one of them, and it's a lot faster to manufacture. So if you order a screen and you ultra perf it, you can get that screen, I think, within a couple of weeks. If a micro perfect, it's more like 4 to 6 weeks lead time, right, for a larger screen, custom order, and all of that. And I also understand that the ultra perf is a little less expensive. I don't think it's a huge margin, but because of the manufacturing elements and stuff. So fundamentally, there's really little reason to buy the micro perf if you're buying a screen that can accommodate the ultra perf. Um, so the question again, really, ultimately, then at the end of the day, the main thing is the clearance screened to speakers in the wall okay? And again, I was told that it was the more distance you have, the better. If you can get up to the like these just general recommendations and stuff, that's ideal. But closer is also okay. And so again, that would be one of the reasons to maybe try to get it to like get like 6 inches of clearance or so. Try to get a little more than I have. Um, just to let more sound through, right? Relatively, because your sound is coming out in a dispersion pattern. The closer you are, the tighter that pattern is going to be. The further you are, the larger that pattern is going to be. So a bigger pattern of sound can come through a wider surface area of holes and altogether. So we'll see how it goes. But I have kids waiting on me. We got chili for dinner, big old pot of chili upstairs, some homemade cornbread and all that. Eager to go dive into that. My wife is my wife is learning mahjong on Monday nights coming up for a few weeks here. So me and the kiddos, we're gonna watch the Royal Rumble. We didn't watch it this past weekend because we were at the drone thing, and then we had all the other stuff going on. So I think tonight we're gonna catch up on the Royal Rumble. I have no spoilers. Thankfully, I avoided spoilers, so I don't know who won. Well, actually, I think I know who won the women's match, um, but that's it. That's the only thing that I think I had spoiled. So we're gonna check out the Rumble and crack open our laptops and do some work, do some Techthusiasm work while we watch the wrestling. So continue working on this webpage. Again, we're building out the gear catalog where possible. They may be able to do some um, or be able to reach toward the ability to do some online checkout and stuff for certain equipment and other things coming to the webpage soon. But for the most part, we'll be launching this gear catalog and stuff more. Check out that newsletter. Again, if I can help you, please reach out. I probably should have put these banners up um, before. But again, Jeremy at techthusiasm.net, techthusiasm.com. A lot of stuff coming, a lot of stuff planned, big year ahead. Coming up to speed on a bunch of new brands and new offerings. Might have some fun stuff going on here with this screen swap. And I need to think about as well, when is the next showcase open house event going to be? I think I'm definitely going to do one by springtime. I don't know if we'll do a winter one. I don't have anything really new to show off. So I'm kind of debating. It's like I either do another event real soon with with everything kind of the way that it is, and then we'll be working on some stuff. So then by the next time we get to another event or do a winter event now, we do a spring event, there'll be some changes, more than likely, some upgrades, some changes and things for people to come demo and see and all of that stuff. Or I just wait until spring. So I'm not entirely sure what I'm going to do. But again, if you want some help, you want some advice, if you're accessible to Southeast Michigan, always happy to do demos and visits and stuff by appointment. So much to offer. I give a lot of time and attention, energy, and focus to everybody that comes to me for advice and their equipment and all of that. If you like the content, you like the channel, you like engaging with it, and inspires you, educates you, all that stuff, please give me the opportunity to do some stuff directly with you and for you. Let me be of service. Much appreciated. So I hope everybody has a good week. I got to get some content rolling. I got some things to record. I got another new idea. I think I'm gonna maybe work on here to try to get like another kind of weekly video. I like the This Week in Kaleidoscape, the reliability of that coming out, and I've got another concept for something else maybe to do on Fridays, and then and we still got to put our Christmas decorations away. January was so busy. My wife was sick. We've still got bins of Christmas stuff sitting out. The living room is a bit of a mess, but I need to film the living room tour. I still want to talk about like some of my favorite upgrades from last year, and then get this projector upgraded to the latest firmware. Get the UPS put on there. Got some more Apple TV stuff coming. Still looking to make some QM9K content and whatnot. So no shortage of content items in the plan. So I got to get those moving, get my kids editing, and get the production system, get the production engine here fully engaged. So thanks for coming out. Thanks for hanging out. Appreciate the company, the engagement, and all of that. Again, appreciate all the well wishes for this frustratingly stupid robbery garbage that we have to that we have to navigate right now. But yeah, We'll talk to everybody next week. Look for the content and some other things coming throughout this week, and come on back for more home theater discussion and fun. Let me know if I can help you and how I can be of service. Thanks.